Hi, before we get started, I would appreciate if you like, subscribe, follow, share. Just any support is super duper helpful. So, looking more into Natural November, I remember being quite young and sort of doing massive conceptual pieces based off of things I'd seen in nature and the real world. And I do actually have a couple of examples here. So, as you can see, they're very fantasy based and they're actually somewhat opposites of each other. Now, when I went up to London the other day, I actually took a couple of photos because I knew I was going to be doing this and I want to take it to another level. And this possibly might even include the title card for Natural November. Now, as you can probably see, I'm doing it in the more traditional way with paper and hand. I would be doing it digital, but I can't quite get my laptop back yet, so you will have to wait a bit longer for conceptual digital pieces. It does also mean this is going to be a bit more of a challenge, but that's what we're all about here. So it should be a lot of fun, a bit hard, may have a point where I want to stop, but I'm going to keep on pushing through and make an amazing piece, and hopefully you love it too. So all we're going to go ahead and do first is basically compile a couple of old images, a couple of new ones, choose out the best ones and create a couple different scenes or one sort of collective one. And then essentially make the most simple, doesn't have to look elegant at all, thing on a Photoshop app or just a photo editor that you can sort of layer things on top of just to get that sort of basic idea of what your outcome wants to be. So starting off here, we have the base of a tree trunk, and from the perspective it's taken, I tried to take all my images from untold perspectives. This one, it can be ginormously huge. This could be such an absolute massive sort of gateway or doorway to the lair or cave of some enormous beast. Next up, we've got this duck here. Now, not all of these are going to be inanimate objects. A lot of these will be living things because I want to try and sort of build things onto the back of them or use them as a base for something in the conceptual piece I'm going to make. They might even be a creature in it, or they could just be, literally part of the thing that's actually being built. And finally, this one was a bit of a hard choice, but I have chosen to go with a pipe that I found in the woods on a walk that I'm guessing is used to kind of push rainwater to a different place. But this is going to be another gargantuan piece with the perspective just scaling up enormously. It's going to be amazing. So what we'll do is we'll start with this very sort of basic sketch, just getting the ideas down. Very, very light, quite scruffy, tad bit of detail just to sort of preempt the ideas, give them a bit more flow. Just making this sort of mounds down here, and this is going to be kind of like a foreground piece for the actual bit that's going to be here. And I think the whole sort of idea of this particular video is going to be perspective and scale, and how can I work that into the image with tiny figures and making these things look absolutely massive. I'm going to chuck the image there, right? And I'm basically literally just going to essentially copy this best I can, but give it a large sense of scale. And actually what I want to do is somewhat have it cracked a bit more at the top and almost trailing off the page, again just to give it that sense of scale, which really does help quite a lot. And obviously this won't be like the final sort of outlook, that comes more in the line work side of things. And obviously we haven't put the shading in yet as well, so it's still going to look very sort of flat and unbeknownst. If we kind of drag this off a bit more on this side, and then somewhat have a bit of another sort of platform here with a couple of rocks sort of stacked there like that. Maybe a couple bits of grass here where the foreground is actually coming out right at the front of the image. Yeah, and then we can sort of drop that cliff off there, give it a bit more structure and then that's sort of the base piece there. So we've got the chasm, we've got the sort of foreground here, and then all we need to do now is a bit of midground. Now this thing in this version is going to be a bit more of a cliff. I want to kind of keep some of that texture though, so I would just try to make this thing a bit more encompassing. If I go ahead and add some like rocks again here, a bit more texture, and also yeah, midground and foreground and background, very important in an image, because it makes up, well, the very basis foundation of it. It really helps the viewer understand what's going on inside it. So if you chuck another big-ish rock or boulder here, a couple sort of little ones on top, possibly with a bit of a ledge, and then curve that back round and bring it down. We have now essentially got our image, and we just need to go ahead and basically I'm just going to have a very, very small floor down the bottom here, just to give, again, a true sense of scale. And then we're just going to go ahead and add a bit more detail in another quick sketch over the top with a lot more strokes and things like that. So next up we've got the tunnel. I'm going to try and make this gargantuan, essentially having figures down here on like a set ground piece. So I'll make like a little rock thing down here for them to stand on. That'll be kind of foreground, and then the background or the midground where this thing is going to go. Like I said, gargantuan is literally going to not even fit on the page. That's how big I want this thing to be. Basically the top is going to come out. That's a spider. Look, can you see him? It's just here, look. You see him cooling across. Hello. What are you doing there? Anyway, yes, this tunnel is essentially literally is going to come round this bit and stretch off the page. That's how big I want this sort of perspective to be. And then we'll have sort of like the rock structure here, and then possibly some sort of eyes poking out, just some sort of massive beast. As you know, Godzilla -1 or -1 is in theatres quite soon, so I could do a bit of a reference to that. And I'm still just going to try and get in a bit of the rock just here and there, just to add a bit of, like I said, sense of scale. Possibly this could be some sort of old silo or mountain facility. And then obviously this is the ground here. So if that comes round to, actually yes, you probably wouldn't even see the base of this thing. That's how big it's going to be. We'll still get some sort of foliage on the ground here. Still want to make a bit of a platform down here, like I said. And then what we'll just do is go up here and add a couple of like cracks down middle here, just to add a bit of texture and perspective. A couple like extra ledges on the side here to add a bit of scaling, and then this will essentially darken as it goes through. So that's the second one done. And finally we have the duck, and what I'm thinking here is maybe like a Howl's Moving Castle type thing, but make it more of like an elemental arcane creature. So I'm basically going to draw very basic shapes and sort of add on rocky layers or different layers depending on what I want it to be. It probably will be some sort of mountainous thing like made of marble, but yeah, we'll try our best to get this thing quite good. And obviously we're not going to get all of it, but I'm just going to stretch the proportions a bit as well, just to make it look a bit more supernatural. So that's one of the feet there. Now we bring this out like that, and down to here, and then that goes down into a foot. And then we have the other one sort of roughly poking out the back here, just like that, and then coming down like this. This is the closer one to the camera, or the perspective of the viewer. So this one will need to be slightly bigger, but it also somewhat goes off the page. So yeah, and we've got to kind of give this sort of looking up perspective, so you can actually get like the height of the buildings or the things that are going to sit on top. And then if we just add a bit of like ruffling feathers down here, very sort of basic thin sketches. And then a couple more bits here and there, maybe some vines possibly hanging off this thing. And then if we come up to the neck, now obviously this is off page, but what I'm going to do is essentially bring this up. Now this isn't a crane or a stork or something, I believe this is just like a moorhen. But basically what we're going to do is try to make this thing a bit more majestic by scaling the proportions like I said, and if we just go like this and sort of go like that. Now I'm not particularly fond of the head shape currently, but like I said, that can be changed, and basically all we're going to do is loop that back round and sort of tuck it in there like that. So if we go like that and then tuck that in, and then do some more sort of like ruffling on the feathers back here, expand the body a bit more so that it does fit the entire thing. And what I'm seeing now is that maybe I could lower this completely and actually have the head coming more towards the perspective of the viewer, so sort of stretching out this way, like foreshortening. So I'm kind of just roughing up the edges, making it a bit more clear to see so that it's easier to colour and actually add detail, and let's jump right in. But first, in terms of colour for these separate pieces, for this first one, I'm thinking kind of like a mesa, so a couple reds, possibly a couple oranges. I may add some like snowy textures as a bit of white or to represent salt. I'm not really going to add cactus and stuff, but I will add some like browns for the dirtier, muddier bits on the darker shades and tones. So switching over to this next concept piece, I'm thinking maybe more blues and greens, make it more like enchanting, sort of rustic and old though, maybe including some of the browns from the previous one, a bit of red, just to give that sort of like really rusty, old look, while also incorporating a bit of like arcane energy. And finally, for this sort of gargantuan duck creature, which is going to be some sort of elemental arcane thing that carries the city on its back, I'm thinking quite a lot of black, playing around with greens and a couple shades of grey for the rock. I also could be doing different elements. I don't know whether it's going to be ice, rock, lava, fire. It could be anything really. So it's got a whole array of colour exploring to go with. Other than that, I think we're pretty good, and we're just going to jump right in. Hey, so just going on from this point, I did actually get my laptop back so I could do some more digital stuff. Yeah, so I'm just basically, what I'm doing is just going ahead and erasing the middle of this sort of scarlet cavern, which is what I'm calling it because it's red and it looks awesome. And basically, now that I've got my laptop back, this one's going to be a mix of digital and pencil, kind of like what I did with the Spaceman poster when I did that. I'm using KRITA, or KRITA, or KRITA, or KRITA, which is an art program that I've become very fond of, actually. And I did use it a couple times before. It's like a Photoshop type thing, and it's actually free as well, incredibly handy. And it kind of suits what I'm doing currently. So it's what I'm going to be using for my digital art from now on, especially painting, and one other video that I have in mind for this month, which is going to be quite special. But yeah, for now, basically, all I'm doing is just going ahead and taking out the black bit or the white bit, and I'm going to go fill it in and stuff like that, and it's going to look epic at the end. And then the other two, I am actually going to just colour on here. And you should get some pretty good footage from that as well. So yeah, let's go. Yes, progress of decentry hath been made. Don't know why I'm talking in Old English, but I am. Apparently, yeah, so I've been doing quite a lot, and as you can now see, the Scarlet Canyon, which is what I'm calling this one, is finished. I've actually taken screenshots and actually like finished the things. I just need to tune them a bit and basically go ahead and just get all the filters on and stuff. They should be done. So I've actually decided to go for different styles for them, which I wasn't consciously doing. So for the Scarlet Canyon, obviously it's a mix between digital and more traditional, so pencil and paper. Got the colouring pencil there, and I've added this sort of sunset shadow or sunrise shadow over this sort of valley here. I've added a bit of fog, and you can actually still see some of the white page elements sort of in these sort of bushy bits over here. And then when over here we've got more of like a definite concept art piece. So this was the tunnel, and I've gone full out digital painting with this. It's been a lot tougher, a bit more of a challenge, and I'm actually thoroughly enjoying it. It is really hard to get the colours right, but it is going quite well. I'm going to go sort of quite simple for this first sort of design, I guess. And then for the duck, I actually went for a design I saw on Instagram, again subconsciously. It's very sort of rough, very, how do I put this? It doesn't, it's hard to say. So basically, it's like drawing with pencil and paper, but on digital. And it's all sort of very colour blocked. So this bit is a certain colour, that bit's a certain colour. And it's usually on white. I'm still going to add the city and stuff on top, but I think this one actually works better sort of feathered, as you can see here. And again, I will have like finished pieces filtered and special effects done, and you'll actually get to see all of that in the big reveal. So we're going to finish these up, and yeah, see you in a bit. So I thought I might just show this bit. I'm actually adding some symbols from the book. This is kind of like CCU language, which is kind of like a multiverse thing that I'm building currently. And if you want to check it out, there is a playlist on the channel. Basically everything I draw, unless it's pop culture reference, is part of the CCU, or Creatures and Character universe. Anyway, we're just going to be doing a quick couple symbols on here, and again, like I said, I thought I might show you I've got symmetry on, so it will make it a bit better. That looks pretty good. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Now, this probably isn't the best way to do this, but I guess it is kind of early stuff. And the first kind of digital thing I've done properly, like with a tablet. I did a couple bits with like a Mac in the past, but that was something different. Why is that not working? Oh, it's not thick enough. Yeah, I'm using KRITA or KRITA. Or KRITA. But basically all we're going to do is just go ahead and make a lovely little beak for this duck here. And yeah, I think I mentioned this already, but I kind of subconsciously went with this style. It's one I've seen on Instagram before. And it does actually work really well. So yeah, I thought I'd give it a shot. But yeah, this is kind of like Photoshop, and obviously I will install some sort of like recording software on here so you do get a better experience. It is kind of perfect right now though, because it's just turning dark, so the light and stuff works really well. And if you want to see progress in the other bits, I have made some decent progress on this one, to be honest. I'm actually getting on really well with this sort of concept art style, and it's really helping me determine how to go about it. I've got like a couple reference images, and obviously the original one. But yeah, this has been really fun, bit challenging. Have got stuck at times whether to go where next. But yeah, like I said, it's gone really well, and I've actually really like the texture I've made here. So I basically just scribbled a bit on some grey, but it's made a texture, it's made it look more 3D. You've got these bits here that also glow, but also they add a bit of texture, and they also add a bit of a 3D outline to it. We've got these bits here, again, very simple, just one sort of grey tone, but again, texture on top just adds a whole lot more. And that's the thing with this, it doesn't have to be overly complicated. It can just be really simple, and it adds a whole load more than you think. But that's the kind of style I'm going for, I guess. And then I've just got to work on this bit. So these bits underneath are kind of like blueprints or like sketches. And I have actually got this on like a symmetry mode as well, which just helps quite a lot. And then I've got my little figure down here at the bottom, which I probably will keep like that. And the staff, as you can see, has got the logo on it. So I thought I might also like sign and put a bit of myself into these images too. But yeah, this is going really well. And in terms of the Scarlet Canyon, which is what I'm naming the hybrid one. Now it's a hybrid because obviously I've done pencil and digital. We've got bits like mist, smoke. There was going to be a traveller down here, but I actually think it looks better like this. But yeah, we're almost done. Just need to finish off this bit and then also, again, just go ahead and do this bit. So see you in a bit. So everything now appears to be done. I've pretty much finished up. The concept piece turned out amazing, and you can see the eye in the middle. You'll get a bit more information out in a minute, and you can also see a bit of an Easter egg on this one too. Again, you can probably see what that is. This one I decided to leave plain because it's the one, I guess, that I knew was going to be digital and drawing, so I think it will be better left plain because it's already got that sort of special element. Just going to go out and say it now, this was an absolutely amazing project. I loved it. It was nostalgia, it was conceptual, it was just brilliant all around, and I actually included pop culture in it as well. If you spotted them, let me know down in the comments. Also, feel free to check out my socials. I do actually now have a Patreon. If you want to see some stuff on there, then let me know down in the comments as well. All of this is going in the CCU. And I'm actually going to leave you on a bit of a challenge. I challenge you to come up with a story for each of these things that ties them all together.